It's Wednesday Addams. I see you're trying to distract yourself from your own banal thoughts. Let me help. Here's a recording thing made of my latest root canal.
Wednesday Season 2 is now playing, only on Netflix.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. With the price of just about everything going up, we thought we'd bring our prices down. So to help us, we brought in a reverse auctioneer, which is apparently a thing.
Mint Mobile Unlimited Premium Wireless. How to get 30, 30, bit to get 30, bit to get 20, 20, 20, bit to get 20, 20, bit to get 15, 15, 15, 15, just $15 a month? Sold!
Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. New customer offer for first 3 months only. Speed slow after 35 gigabytes if network's busy. Taxes and fees extra. See mintmobile.com.
This podcast contains adult themes and language, and some of the things that we discuss may be disturbing to some listeners. In this podcast, we discuss sexual assault, torture, race, and murder. Listener discretion is advised. Please take care of yourself. Fruities, it's Beth here, one half of Fruitloops, the true crime history and comedy podcast where we dig into the stories that you don't hear much about, serial killers of color, and most importantly, their victims. Every week we take deep dives into the lives, crimes, and cultural context behind these cases, because crimes don't happen in a vacuum, and a lot of these stories get overlooked by the mainstream media. We're on a short break right now, but we didn't want to leave your ears empty, so today we're sharing an episode from one of our absolute favorite podcasts, Affirmative Murder, hosted by Alvin Williams and Francel Evans. It's another true crime and comedy gem, full of fascinating cases, sharp humor, and stories that highlight marginalized voices. In this episode, Alvin and Fran break down the standout moments from the Diddy trial and give you their unfiltered takes on what went down. So sit back, enjoy, and make sure you subscribe to Affirmative Murder. Trust me, you'll thank us later.
We got a problem here, and it's more than just Alvin screaming Punisher. When life begins to suck, who's reporting it? Luckily, you got two friends who you won't forget. Coming live, Alvin and Fran on survival. Laughing non-stop, case drops on a cycle. Louder than intrusive thoughts off an iPhone. How they make the world seem bright with the lights off. AFs, it might as well stay up. Lies being told like that dinosaur BS. Magnifying glass to the ground if they don't see us. Having the time, roasting your favorite pizza. Bougie ain't an option, it's the wage. Take it to the grave, add moving to the place. You already know when they take the case. Laugh the pain away, it's Affirmative Murder.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of Affirmative Murder, the equal opportunity true crime comedy podcast. I'm Alvin Williams, joined as always by my partner in true crime.
Oh yes, wait a minute, Mr. Postman.
Yeah, man, I'm the mailman. Can't you tell, man? Gonna post to it.
His name is Fran Evans, by the way.
What up?
Before we get into things, because if you can't tell, I don't know what I titled this, because I usually come up with the titles like right as I'm uploading. I don't know. I always try to come up with something like some kind of play on words. I don't know what this is titled, but we are doing a retrospective look at the Diddy trial now that the verdict has come through. He beat 3 of the 5 charges. He was found guilty of 2 charges of transportation for the purposes of prostitution. The verdict, as far as time from the judge, has not been handed down yet, but we wanted to look back on the 5 or 6 weeks of the trial and give our perspective about, I don't necessarily want to say where things went wrong, but how we got to the verdict that we got to, in our opinion, and also based off of the discovery, the transcripts, everything that, came out during this trial, which was a sea of nasty. Fran, what are your thoughts on not just the trial, but the verdict, the fall of Diddy, the whole thing, the whole shebang.
Yeah, man. I think that it kind of played out how I thought it was going to go. He's a freak bull. We all know that. But is it necessary to say that it's the fall of Diddy though? Can you call it the fall of? Is that it?
What do you mean?
I mean, like
his fall from grace for sure. I mean, I'm not saying Diddy wasn't looked at as like an angel or anything.
Right,
but
right.
The things that have come out during this trial, he will never move on from in his life.
I don't know. I just don't.
Here's the thing. Because I've kind of vacillated back and forth on this take I'm about to give, because I've gone from like Diddy's done to, well, I saw people pouring baby oil outside of themselves once the verdict came in. I think there will always be a base of people who support and love billionaire rappers, whether it's because of the music they gave them, whether it's because they idolize their lifestyle, whatever it may be. And also now that he's not going to beat this as far as no charges, but they get to say he beat the biggest charge. So they will then, time will vindicate Diddy as he beat this. You know, we know when he serves his 5 years, whatever, with time served, and he's out by 2028, we know that Diddy went to prison. And we remember all the nasty stuff. But I think time will vindicate this as he beat that.
Yeah.
And that's what I jump back and forth between of like, yeah, you can't run away from this nastiness. But I'm like, I don't know. If he comes out and he like turns his life over to God and gets a big following that way, like I do think that there is a lane for Diddy to try to congregate a base again. I don't think my initial thought was he's going to, serve his time and then go to fucking Bora Bora or some other island like Russell Simmons did and just never come back to the United States again. I don't think he has to do that. I also don't think he'll ever be like on MTV again, but I don't think he has to like go into obscurity. I think that fame is more important to Diddy than money, and he will find a way to get fame some kind of way, whether that's on Snapchat or Rumble or some kind of weird platform. He becomes like, he gets on Truth Social or something weird like that and tries to cultivate an audience that way. I don't think we've seen the last of Diddy, which is something I've battled with myself over the last few weeks for sure. Yeah, but what do you mean not to say fall? I just don't know what you mean.
I think I agree with that. I think that he'll still move and operate as he once did, but it's more behind the scenes now. I think he'll just call the shots, not being the face of whatever, I don't know, deals or whatever. I think he'll still, because like, yeah, he's a nasty person. He's a sick dude, but like, he made a ton of money.
Yeah.
Ton of money comes with him making great decisions and being great business wise, I think. But like, I don't think that just goes away after all this. I think he'll still work with certain people. He just got caught. It's not as other people doing this shit. He just got caught. I think now he'll still do what he do, but now he'll just be hitting in the corners like he was he's doing his freaky shit.
Yeah, but it can't be understated how much of P. Diddy's money was made off of like licensing and him endorsing a product. So his celebrity did serve him in that sense, where it's like, I'm gonna go to the Fat Joe video with the bottles of Ciroc and place them in the video so that I create a lifestyle brand around, like, if you want to be a poppin' rapper and have all these girls around you, you better be drinking Ciroc. He no longer has access to that route because of this trial, in my opinion. I could be wrong, but obviously you can still like buy real estate and do other business.
I think he can do that. I think he can do that. But now he could put it. He can just. I'll hire somebody else to be in my place that I was hired to do. He'll just
yeah, for sure.
Come on
like
with a liquor. Okay, well, we're gonna put
Michael B. Jordan, or not bad example, like somebody that some handsome man,
right? And that's gonna be the face of that.
Like Dos Equis.
I'll still rake in money. I just don't have to be the face of anything.
Yeah,
I don't think that stuff goes away.
He has enough money and enough business people around him that when you have that level of money, all you can do with it is turn it into more money. I mean, you can make bad business decisions, but we just have not seen Diddy to be a bad businessman. Right. So when you have that level of money, the only thing you really can do with it is turn it into more money, unless you're just like irresponsible person.
Away. We all wanted to see the fall of him being like
broke,
the name Diddy broke, a piece of shit in prison
for life. Yeah,
for life. That's what we all wanted to see because all the gross shit he was doing. That's not gonna happen. I never thought it was gonna happen anyway. but that's just not realistic.
I didn't think it would happen either, but as far as like a social fall is what I mean. Like, I mean,
Gotcha.
he for all intents and purposes, for what he was facing, he beat this. And we will get into how that happened, obviously, but we just wanted to like take a retrospective look at how this whole thing unfolded. And the last time we did this, we left off like towards the end of the first week, where we were talking about Kid Cudi and the car blowing up and all those things and a lot of other stuff that was just kind of very nasty, and so much more nastiness was unveiled in the process of this trial. But we will pick up where we left off, which is that Kid Cudi testifying. He actually took the stand and he discussed his encounters with Diddy while dating Cassie, which he started doing in 2011. This was obviously something that rubbed Diddy the wrong way, which is very surprising because throughout this trial, one thing I learned is that there wasn't much that rubbed Diddy the wrong way. He liked being rubbed all kinds of ways.
Yeah.
Things we won't get into because it's just like nothing but salacious, and we don't need to get into some of the details, but some of the details that were unveiled during this freak velocity. Cudi took the stand and he recounted what he viewed as Mr. Combs's break into his home, where he locked his dog in the bathroom and ruffled up his house, and the suspicion that Mr. Combs had arranged for a Molotov cocktail that exploded inside of his car to be put inside of his Porsche 911 convertible. Now, Mr. Combs's lawyers have said he was simply not involved with the arson outlined in the indictment. Mr. Muscati said that he called Mr. Combs, cursed at him, and asked whether he was at his house. He testified that Mr. Combs replied, "I'm over here waiting for you." He also testified that apparently, to some laughter from the crowd, when he pulled up to his house, P. Diddy was standing there like a Marvel villain, like just kind of in the shadows. And if you know Kid Cudi, he just is like a funny guy. Like he just, even in a serious situation, he just has a humorous way about him. So we didn't see it, but I can imagine it. Now, one thing that I found that was interesting, right, is if you've seen the pictures from his car, which they took at the scene outside of his house, it was less of an explosion and more of a vandalization / arson, right? Mm-hmm. So I understand the desire to lay out the case and the damages that were definitely significant. But one thing was made clear, and that is that whatever fantastic, crazy thing that we had in our mind, the Michael Bay movie, the car blew up, there was a little sticky device underneath the bottom and it blew up and all that shit, that's not what happened. Kid Cudi's car was lit on fire in the driver's seat. It burned through, and it wasn't nothing, like, but his car did not blow up, right? So while this testimony didn't make Diddy look good, it kind of blew that whole sensational idea out of people's minds, for lack of a better term, using the blew up thing. But in my opinion, I feel like that did more harm than good, because if you're trying to lay the groundwork for him being a bad person and dangerous and all these things. Mm-hmm. But if we just thought he blew his car up.
Yeah, it makes it more anticlimactic, because
yes,
when you hear the story of his car blew up, I immediately thought, oh shit, that was a chance he could have been in it and he didn't know, start up. Now when it's like, oh, it burned, I was like, all right, well, there wasn't a chance that Kid Cudi was going to get hurt.
Yeah.
In this whole situation.
And so there was no detonator in the or he turned the
when it blew up, you go like, he turned the car on. Oh, he could have been in it and shit like that. That's when your mind start running through all these scenarios, but then it's like, oh, it was just lit on fire. Oh, I mean, like, it's a big deal, but it's not
a big deal, but it's more akin to like you dating somebody, you come out and all your tires are slashed. Like, that's terrible, but it's not a terroristic. Like, when you think blew up, you're like, oh, this is a villain.
Yeah.
He's a bad guy. He's an abusive guy. This is terrible for you to do this to somebody, but it isn't the hitting the red button on the thing while you're down the street and then the car blows up and
making a phone
flips.
call or something. Yeah.
It just, like you said, it was anticlimactic.
Yeah.
And I guess there are some people in that jury who maybe never heard of fucking, who the hell's Kid Cudi? What's a Kid Cudi? And didn't know about the car blowing up thing. But as somebody like me and you who did know about it, it kind of sucked all the sensationalism from that headline, which I think is a point for Diddy, and to me.
Yeah.
Whatever you might have been trying to make me look bad, and to some people, you did make me look bad because they had never heard about it. But to some people who did hear about this, you go, oh.
Because it sounds like he tried to kill him.
The explosion.
Explosion.
But it goes from that to like, oh, this is like petty and you're like vandalizing.
Yeah. He tried to make his day difficult. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, you ruined his day. You cost him some money. You messed his day up.
Yeah.
Blowing the car, but it's like, what's next? My house? Like, you don't want to
Yeah.
get into things anymore.
Right.
All those things when we thought it was an explosion.
Yeah.
So
Also,
again,
I'm not saying it's not bad.
Again, and that's what I'm saying. As we lay it,
it,
that's what I'm saying. And I want to make sure we lay this out too, right? Because we're doing a retrospective list, a retrospective look back on the trial, and we know what happened as far as what the verdict was. I don't want us to sound biased in what we're saying, but we do need to have some level of scrutiny for both the defense and the prosecution, because we know what all of this information that was laid out, we know what it ended up doing to the jury. We know whatever they laid out, this is what they thought at the end of the trial. So we do need to be like, okay, well, did this work or did this not work? That is kind of how we're breaking this down. But I don't want to come across like we're like, yeah, man, Diddy nailed this and he was great and he was a super innocent guy. You first of all, if I had a Mercedes-Benz, I was fortunate enough to work my ass off and get myself an SLS Mercedes-Benz, and you cut the soft top and drop a fireball into the car, fuck you I hate you. You're terrible. You're a horrible person. Yeah. But in terms of going from the Diddy blows up his ex-lover's car to, oh yeah, he cut the shit in there and he burned the seats. It makes it anticlimactic to me. But if I've never heard either story, you're like, whoa, that's crazy. But again, not crazy like, oh, this is Dr. Robotnik. It's like, whoa, this guy's toxic. You know what I mean? And that's bad, but that's not. Yeah. He is charged with racketeering, sex trafficking, and then moving prostitutions across state lines for the purposes of having sex with them. That one's less like evilish, but the sex trafficking and the RICO, those are evil. Those are like terrible charges. Yeah. And for you to take your time out of your case to interview somebody or, put them on the stand, and what you get out of it in summarization is, oh, yeah, this dude's toxic. And he really was jealous about his girlfriend or on and off again situation. I don't know what it is, but it made him do some fucking foul shit. Right. That doesn't lead you in the direction of sex trafficking. That doesn't lead you in the direction of RICO. Yeah. Bomb, maybe. Henchman setting off bomb, maybe, but the idea that he maybe had a goon rip open the soft top and drop a firebomb into the seat and it burned the seat a little bit, or like a bottle of Ciroc with a rag in it, that is like, it wasn't this like complicated
brand placement.
Yeah, hey, that's what he's known for. Yeah. I would bet money it was a Ciroc bottle. This might have been a street team goon.
It's back to school season, and Clorox is donating 2 million disinfecting wipes to classrooms across America. Because back to school means things can get a little bit messy. Just ask second grade teacher Mr. Torres.
Put me and just one Clorox wipe on a team? We can take on crayon smudges, sticky fingerprints on every surface, sneezes on the door handle, juice box explosion by the sink, snack crumbs, and don't even get me started on the bathroom passes.
Clorox disinfecting wipes. Teacher's #1 wipe.
Think about it. Bathroom passes.
Clean feels good. Based on unit sales data.
Running a business comes with a lot of what-ifs. But luckily, there's a simple answer to them. Shopify. It's the commerce platform behind millions of businesses, including Thrive Cosmetics and Momofuku. And it'll help you with everything you need. From website design and marketing to boosting sales and expanding operations, Shopify can get the job done and make your dream a reality. Turn those what-ifs into... Sign up for your $1 per month trial at shopify.com/special offer.
So during week 2, there were 2 other testimonies as well from Dawn Richard, who was formerly in Danity Kane, as well as Last Train to Paris. She did vocals on Last Train to Paris, and she was a member of Danity Kane. And Carrie Morgan. Both these people were in the bad boy inner circle working for him. Mm-hmm. Both were called to the stand to testify to the violence that they saw Diddy inflict onto Cassie. And again, a lot of what was revealed in this trial is that Diddy is an abusive monster and, horrible and violent and dangerous as a partner. But none of his charges during the trial were for domestic violence or assault. And I understand how these things can go towards painting out his character. Like it's like a trial is a slow walk. You want to reveal the person for who they really are, and then you start laying your charges out. So obviously it is beneficial to bring up people who can speak to his character in a negative way if you're trying to paint him out to be a bad person. Mm-hmm. But if you're bringing up people to speak to him being abusive and violent, those are none of his charges. Now, I can concede to maybe they're laying the groundwork to establish a pattern of control and coercion. If they're here to say, yeah, man, she did whatever Diddy told him to do, and he would hit her, and then she would go do this and do that. And so I understand bringing them up there for that purpose. But it's week 2 is where we're starting from. And so with all this time left while we're watching this, I'm like, we're 2 weeks in, and I'm not really, who's the person that's going to start to lay out how this is sex trafficking or lay out how this is RICO, other than Cassie, who was on the first week and just, it was a painful to listen to the things that she laid out, you know. But again, even within her testimony, it more so spoke to his character as a person. It didn't really speak to anything that was necessarily criminal for what he's facing. If you were to ask me, do I think Diddy is a violent abuser, should he be arrested for assault? I would go, yeah. But then you got to charge him with assault.
Yeah.
So I'll continue. So, and we'll get to, for people who don't know what the verdicts were, we'll get to that. But again, I think some of the, if anybody's dissatisfied with how this thing played out, that blame needs to be laid at the feet of the prosecutor, to me, in my opinion, for not bringing proper charges.
Right.
So Don Richards and Carrie Morgan came up to speak to the drug use, the violence that they saw from Diddy inflicted on the Cassie, and, just the toxic relationship that they had between the two of them, mostly how violent Diddy was and how aggressive and controlling he was towards Cassie. Although the defense did come up and poke some holes into Dawn Richards when they cross-examined during her testimony, which made her look like either her timeline was off or that she may have been exaggerating or lying in some of the things that she said, which again isn't a win for the defense necessarily, because you can't, the jury can't unhear all the bad things that they're hearing.
Mm.
But if you're able to put a little seed of doubt, because you got to remember, it is the job of the prosecution is to prove beyond a reasonable doubt. The only job of the defense is to create that doubt.
Right.
So if Dawn Richard goes up there, she tells a story, and then they go, ba, but didn't you say it was Saturday, but you said it was Thursday here? And didn't you say that you loved Diddy just last week, but then now you're saying he's a terrible person? And you go, yeah, I might have had my dates mixed up. And it's like, okay, no, I rest my case. Like that, they'll leave with that little win there. Like, it's like you sow a seed of doubt and get out of there. And that seemed to be Diddy's defensive strategy for his team the whole time. Like, let them talk and then just go up there and be like, you said this, but what about these Instagram pictures?
Yeah.
And then that's it. So
I do have to mention,
go for it.
I kind of wanted to wait until the end, but I can't hold it anymore. Brian Steele, this dude, he was on the Young Thug case.
Uh-huh.
He was hired to do this case.
Yes.
It's like, if anybody knows sports, where it's like a player gets a ton of money, you go like, wow, his agent. But then this dude, I mean, like, I don't know what he worked magic. I don't know what the fuck he's out here doing, but I mean, like, he's out here beating cases left and right, because like
major cases too.
Major cases.
National news headlines. and now imagine, like, all he has to do is put his name on a law firm, which he already does or whatever. And
right,
now he doesn't even have to do the cases. It's like, oh, you work for the Steele firm?
Yeah.
All the low-level drug cases, all the whatever, like, raking in money.
He's the go-to.
Because he's the face. Yeah. He's like the
Yeah.
Diddy. I'm not going to put this on. He's a lawyer. But I'm just saying, like, he's going out and building his brand.
Yeah.
And now he can go out and have other attorneys that work under his umbrella go out and make money for his law firm just because they work for Steele, Saxon, and Goldberg or whatever, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah, a national case like this, you coming out, and this is a win. For an attorney facing what Diddy was facing, the court of public opinion and all that stuff, and you get all of the football numbers are thrown out. Anything that was going to be 25 years, 30 years, all that shit is thrown out. Now, the judge could return with the most harsh shit because he thinks Diddy's disgusting, and but they have sentencing guidelines, which I think both the charges he's facing have like a mandatory 10-year or whatever. There's something like that. So he could still get hit with 20 years on 2 charges, but if they laid out their case enough, the judge might go, I'm giving you 10 years on this charge, 10 years on that charge. They're gonna run concurrent.
Okay.
So you got 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
And then with time served, you might have 8 years. And you might have to go serve 3 or 4.5 or something like that, which is a win when you were looking at 80 years.
Yeah.
So Brian Steele looks great. But I don't know if Brian still looks great or what the prosecution looks like. Why were y'all trying to charge him with a RICO and take all of his money? And like, did you guys think you were going to prove that? And maybe some people did think that early on. But for me, I feel like I haven't listened to the episode that we did first, the first Diddy talk, just a weekend. Like I said, when we were talking about, I was like, I'm just not seeing how we get to RICO.
Yeah.
I'm seeing how he's a terrible person. I'm seeing how I would never buy a bottle of Ciroc again in my life. I didn't anyway. I wasn't a drinker of Ciroc. But I'm just saying, like, I can see how it's like, cancel Diddy. Do not support him. He should be in jail. He's a brutal assault person. He's an assaulter and a sexual violence and all of that. But he's not. Those are not the charges that you guys are hitting him with.
Yeah.
So it's hard.
I think him beating the RICO was like, let's get that. Let's make sure we get that off.
Yeah, that's priority one.
Kind of knock that one out.
That's priority one.
And you after that, it's like, I'm good. You know what I'm saying? I'll live with everything else. Because RICO is the knockout punch. That was it. That would have been it.
We never see Diddy again if he's found guilty of racketeering.
Yeah.
And not only do we never see Diddy again, his empire is destroyed.
Yeah.
Because now they can freeze all of his assets and seize them for the state of New York. So the week 2 testimonies continue with 2 testimonies from 2 men named David James and George Kaplan, who were former employees of Diddy. They were called to speak to Sean Combs, the boss, right? His character as a boss and an employer. David James described fearing for his life when an armed Diddy tasked him with accompanying him to a possible confrontation with hip-hop boogeyman Suge Knight. It's crazy that they both came out and were like, nah, the East Coast, West Coast beef, that was the tabloids. That wasn't real. Like, that wasn't any of that. And nah, man, decades later, because Suge Knight was arrested in 2015. He's been in prison since then. So this had to be somewhere between like 2005 and 2009 that this was taking place. This possible confrontation that this guy, David James, is talking about. And the idea that they were still beefing. Like, it's still like, man, if Diddy and Suge Knight are in a room together, it might be some problems. And Diddy's coming to get his, I don't know, one of his gophers. I don't even know what this guy does. Like, hey, man, yeah, get the straps, man. We might run into Suge tonight. It's like, what? Excuse me? Now, mind you, this guy's Diddy run the city, rock the vote. Like, his public-facing persona is one of party, dance, lifestyle, luxury, flash. So it is wild to hear like, oh, yeah, no, Diddy had the pole on him. He had the gun, was ready. Like, yeah, man, if I run into Suge.
Man, I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, but I mean, like, he's supposedly responsible for, like, taking out his moneymaker.
This is true. This is not true. This is alleged. That is alleged.
It's alleged. He's
alleged.
Allegedly responsible for taking out his money.
But yeah, this is like I can't remember. There's like some show on
So Suge Knight's still in prison.
Yeah, he got 28 years. He ran over a guy on camera.
Right, I'm sorry that. So that's why people talk so much shit about him now.
Oh yeah. They feel very confident that he will never get out.
Because I don't remember hearing all this 15, 20 years.
Yeah, no, it wasn't. Nobody was out here talking tough about it. Man, Suge Knight, man, fuck him. When he was out, no. But now he's free. Right. It's like, yeah. And also there's been some like news stories coming out that he's like not in the best of health in prison. So it's like the old lion. Once it's like, oh yeah, he's not like lion tough anymore. Man, fuck him. Like, but in his peak in 1996, nobody was saying anything about Suge Knight. You wouldn't even hear his name come up. But again, it is crazy that Suge Knight basically was just the Magneto to. No, that's a bad example. I was gonna call P. Diddy Charles Xavier. That's the bad example because that will make Charles Xavier like a pretty bad guy. But I'm just saying, like, they were two sides of the same coin, because Suge Knight used intimidation and violence in pursuit of his music career and his record label, and Diddy did the same thing. He just did it in the shadows. Yep. Suge Knight was cool with that being his public-facing persona, and P. Diddy was what
we know him for.
Yeah, Suge Knight was like, yes, I'm dangerous. I'm a blood. I'm cool. That's cool. I wear all red to the Source Awards, and P. Diddy's like, nah, man, it's all a party. I'm safe. Brands, you can come and support me. I'm the best guy. But then in the shadows, it's like, yo, break his knees.
Yeah,
they both use the same. That's what man. Look, hip hop is a dangerous industry. I don't know if it's as dangerous as it used to be. When you set the bar for like surviving and getting out of the hood of like, you need to make the best song about killing people. You need to be the biggest, most realest dude from your neighborhood. You create an environment where people are going to try you because they want to make you look not as real as them. And so it is treacherous unless you do like a Chance the Rapper thing. You could be like a Will Smith rapper, but if you want to be like, oh, I'm a rapper.
Yeah, but that don't work.
No, I mean, it is more likely for you to get on and be a successful rapper rapping about street culture than about my wife and going to the cookout in the summertime and all that type of stuff. There are people who have made it happen. Pitbull, Flo Rida, Chance the Rapper. It's a short list.
Yeah, but you the
Nelly,
music,
I guess.
Not to go too far into that, the music has to be so good.
Yes.
Acid Rain is one of the best mixtapes. I don't know what it was, whatever it was when it came out.
It has to be groundbreaking music.
Yeah. But then when he kind of went on and tried to do something different, it's like, all right, bro, you kind of.
Yeah, you lost us when you went. We were letting you be like, I'm just talking about doing drugs.
Yeah.
But now it's like, he wasn't saying anything violent, but then it's like, I'm going to be even less violent. So it's like, I'm not even talking about drugs now. Now it's like, you ever paint a coloring book with your daughters? Like, man, I don't know where to play this.
Yeah.
It was still well-produced, high-quality music.
Sure.
But you can make mediocre, dangerous music and have a hit. We're seeing it more than ever now. But I just don't know.
More than ever.
And I feel like the industry's more dangerous than ever because nobody's becoming as successful as Diddy anymore because, like, they're getting killed or arrested on racketeering charges.
Yeah.
And then it just recycles. Oh, go get another
one.
hood bumpkin.
Yeah.
15 years old, doesn't know anything about anything, exploit them, make a bunch of money off them, and then they'll end up in prison. Or they'll fall off because their music's not good.
Yeah.
So it's like this cyclical thing, which might be more dangerous, but what we're talking about now is a thing in the music industry that doesn't exist anymore, which is like, I'm so successful that a $1 billion corporation gave me $100 million to create my own entity. Bad Boy, Death Row Records. We don't see this like we used to because there's no money like there used to be. So you're not going to see a guy who comes from the street, builds his way up, goes through all these trials and tribulations, fights, and all these. Diddy's been through some shit, man. You don't get to this level in hip hop without guns and violence and learning how to play street politics, all these things. He just was a guy that was doing this behind the scenes. This wasn't part of his public persona. So I think that's why this case is so shocking to people outside of like the absolute depravity of it. Is the most freaky shit I've ever heard in my life. But it's also like, wait, P. Diddy, the Ciroc boy, he's a underworld criminal and all this. They're accusing him of a RICO and everything. But it's like, although they didn't prove a RICO necessarily, I would not say that the Bad Boy label has not done things with Bad Boy money that are illegal. I believe that that's a case that can be proven. They just didn't prove it in this situation. And also, he's been legit for so long that if you wanted to say, man, back in 1994, I know for a fact they were taking money from when Biggie Smalls would have a hit record and buying cocaine with it and flipping it and selling it and whatever to try to fund the Bad Boy project even more. If you were to tell me that, I'd go, I 100% believe that. Like, I don't doubt that at all. You had a bunch of goons around you from New York and all this stuff and street guys. And I have no reason to believe it's not possible that Diddy at a point, not excusing any kind of sex trafficking possibilities that they might try to prove in the future again or something. I have no problem believing that Diddy and the Bad Boy imprint might have had one foot in the streets and one foot in the business office at some point. But that is not what they proved in the pursuit of this trial. To say that, oh yeah, his money needs to be taken away and he's a flight risk and all of these things. Like, obviously he's a flight risk because he's super rich, but I'm just saying, like, this idea that he's this dangerous El Chapo type of guy, and they didn't prove it. It just wasn't proven. So, but yeah, like I said, so they brought these two employees up. One of them says, yeah, one time he flashed a gun at me, and I think in my mind, he's like, I'm the guy that I go and get his smoothies. Is how he's trying to frame it, like, oh yeah, I was just so shocked. It was one of the last times I worked for him because I don't feel comfortable being around my boss and he has guns out and all these things. He was making it seem like, oh, I'd never experienced anything like that. They also both attested to his intense drug usage. So this is, again, continuing to like paint the character of Diddy. His employees are like, oh yeah, he was high all day, every day. He was waving guns around. He was too touchy-feely. He was inappropriate, and I felt uncomfortable. Both of them said that. But George Kaplan finished off his testimony by saying he still expressed gratitude for the business lessons that he learned from the mogul. Now, all of that stuff is like, oh yeah, man, dangerous, this kind of thing. He's erratic, everything. But I still learned from working with him, and to me, that's a little win for the defense.
Exactly.
Because it's like, wait, so this guy isn't like a monster, or he's like,
not all bad.
Yeah, it's not all bad.
Yeah.
And that kind of becomes the tale of this trial. Like every witness that comes up, other than like Cassie, obviously for understandable reasons, and maybe one or two other, like Cassie's mom. There's other people that are like, it's unquestionable that this was purely bad for the defense. But there's other people that are like, they tell their whole story, and it's like, yeah, man, but I never saw them do anything bad. I never even saw them hit. When I saw them, they were kissing and having a fun time. It's like, oh, all right, well, so they brought you up here to tell the jury that Diddy does cocaine. And it's like, but that's not, you know what I mean? Like, again, we've painted his character for about 3 weeks now. We get it. He's a monster. This is what we said. This is one thing I know we said in the first episode that we covered this, is like, I don't think the jury, especially after maybe week 1, after Cassie Ventura goes up there and does what she says what she says, I don't think the jury needs any more help being like, this guy is a monster.
Yeah.
And I feel like they spent the next few weeks just like hammering that point down, which is like, right. But it's not illegal to be a monster. It's illegal to assault people. It's illegal to be violent if that's what you're charged with. But to be like, oh yeah, man, we are all nervous around him all the time because he's so erratic and on cocaine all the time, it's like, sounds like a piece of shit to me.
Yeah.
Did he racketeer? Yeah. Did he racketeer? What did he racketeer? Well, he lit Kid Cudi's car on fire. It's like, well, did he do it? No, he didn't do it, but somebody did it. And it blew up? No, it was the car seat got really messed up from the fire, though. It's like, oh, okay, well, at first it sounded like in the pursuit of a criminal organization, he blew up Kid Cudi's car because he was messing with one of his women or something.
Making a point. Yeah.
Yeah, it just, there's a way to frame this if you're writing a story to make him everything that they charged him with. But that's not the story they told during the trial. We will continue, though. So this is where the shit gets crazy. I have some clips to play. And again, I don't want to come across like we're being biased or on Diddy's side. We just have to scrutinize the prosecution because we're coming at this with hindsight. We know how this went. So we have to be like, maybe this wasn't the best approach to take. But this was a mistake, in my opinion. So they during week 2 or week 2 going into week 3, they bring up this guy named Sheree Hayes. Sheree Hayes is now gone on to be famously known as the Punisher. He's done multiple interviews, Vlad TV, Cameron. I'm going to play some clips from both of those things. But he testified that from 2012 to 2015, while working as an escort under the name Punisher, he was hired for 8 to 12 freak-offs and was paid between $1,200 and $2,000 every time he did a freak-off with Diddy and Cassie. He said, quote, "It seemed like it was consented as far as I was concerned." This is what he said when he spoke of the sex with Miss Ventura. Like, I definitely don't feel like she had sex with me under duress. And I understand how that's a hard thing to reconcile with, but I've watched a few interviews of this guy and he's saying she called me, she arranged it. I never spoke to Diddy. When she would call, so let's just say, so again, I just want to make clear what I'm saying. So let's say Cassie was doing all this under duress from P. Diddy and to please him and to make him happy, and she didn't want anything to do with any of this stuff. The Punisher doesn't know that. And he's saying, I saw no signs of that. So again, the tabloid of Diddy makes Cassie have sex with male sex workers under duress is one thing. But when the sex worker comes up on the stand and is like, we would have drinks before and we would laugh and talk, and then afterwards she would give me the money and she would call me when she wanted to do a freak off, and he never spoke to me. He was in the room, but he was in his corner and all this stuff. I never spoke to him and he was never involved. It was just me and her. And so as far as I could tell, it was consensual. I don't know how to reconcile with that for somebody who might hear this and think that I'm trying to just diminish her story. All I can say is like the Punisher goes up there and goes, I just thought I was in a blessed situation to be getting paid a bunch of money to have sex with a beautiful woman. And I thought they were in some kind of voyeuristic cuckold situation. I didn't ask any questions. I just know it felt like consensual sex. I don't know how to reconcile that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. His name being the Punisher is crazy.
That's a crazy.
You don't know his real name?
his name's Sheree Hayes. We don't gotta call him. You can call him Sheree. But he was mostly a exotic dancer. So he wasn't a Punisher because he was a sex. Again, all this shit is so salacious. You go, man, was he punishing Diddy? All the shit, all the shit people, all the headlines and everything. But he was called the Punisher. These exotic dancer dudes, they got all these crazy names. Mystique and Fabuloso and all that type of stuff. So he was the Punisher, but that was his exotic dancer name. He would do like bachelor parties and stuff like that mostly. And I guess he would trick off on the side a little bit. It's it's so different to be talking about this from a male perspective, like sex, like strippers, like lady strippers. There's that Jennifer Lopez movie where you go, hey man, there's the champagne room. We might do a little extra work to this businessman for some extra money. But to hear a dude be like, yeah, man, I would trick on the side. You're like, trick? Oh yeah, I was a dancer and I would also fuck off on the side if they had a little extra money. You're like, what kind of, it just seems like such a more debaucherous lifestyle as a man than as a woman. It's like, as a girl, it's like, man, get your money. It's hard out here, do your thing. But as a man, it's like, you are a freak. It's like, you dancing and shit and got the little fake snake in the G-string and throwing it around. And then you going off and fucking in back rooms at bachelorette parties. Different. I don't even know how you fall into that lifestyle as a man. I feel like with women, correct me if I'm wrong, any women listening, I feel like if you are a conventionally attractive woman in any kind of like shape that is desirable to people that are looking from the outside, like aesthetically, you have to do more work to dodge those kind of opportunities. Like it might be people coming to you all day like, you ever thought about dancing or being a go-go dancer or a stripper? As a man, I feel like you ended up in some kind of weird room and hey man, you can. I think women would find you like who approach it, who recruits you, into that lifestyle. Yes, what I'm saying. Who's the guy that's like, yo, I see a lot of potential in you, man. I bet women would like to fuck you at parties. Yeah. Like, thank you. Let me take you under my wing. It just seems like a way nastier A to B scenario than for a woman.
Way less convincing, I'm sure.
Yeah, I was like. Yeah, and then look, this he's from Harlem. I could tell, women are like, I'm just doing this to pay for college, that kind of thing. I feel like this dude is like, no, this is what I do for a living, and I'm gonna do it till I can't anymore. It's fun, they got all kind of different approaches. They're not this is all patriarchy and sexism and double standards. The fear, all that shit of like the need for a pimp. We said that it's like, I don't know if a male sex worker, you don't even need a pimp.
No,
because there's no man that's gonna try to attack you in the industry. So it's like, it's all ups for a man. It's like, man, what's your down? Like, yeah, I had sex with a 65-year-old woman. She called me. Like, that's your down, is like, I didn't like the sex experience. In my mind, that's like the down for the man.
Yeah.
Where women are like, oh yeah, I got into the wrong car. He almost kidnapped me. This is like, nah, none of that happens to me.
All kinds of shit can go left for a woman.
No. Going left for a man is like, you show up and you're like, damn, she's a fool. That's like the man's experience as a stripper, sex worker, whatever the fuck, But anyway, that was just, sorry for a tangent there, but just like the Punisher. When you readdress that his name is the Punisher, it made me go off like, yeah, that is insane. We can only go off what this person says, and we can only go off what that person says. So it's like, to the jury, it's like, which one seemed more convincing? Do you believe all of what Cassie said? Do you believe all of what the Punisher said? Do you believe both of them? And then there's this intersection of like, what she's saying is true and what he's saying is true. And when they crossed paths and ended up in the same room, neither of them could tell what the other one was going through.
Leading a business today means constantly adapting. On the Executive Insights podcast, brought to you by AWS, global leaders share how they're making tough calls, testing bold ideas, and putting innovation into practice, generative AI included. If you're looking for real stories behind what's working, this is it. Subscribe to the Executive Insights podcast today, available now on all major podcast platforms.
You're tuned into Auto Intelligence, live from Auto Trader, where data, tools, and your preferences sync to make your car shopping smooth.
They're searching inventory.
Oh, yeah.
They find what you need.
They're gonna find it.
You can make a budget for your wallet to help you succeed. Pricing's precise and true.
So true.
It's smarter car shopping.
Ooh.
Just for you.
Oh, it's just for you. Ooh. Find your next ride at autotrader.com. Powered by Auto Intelligence.
The Punisher, or Sheree, also later revealed in one of his many interviews that he's done since he took the stand that all of his rendezvous were in the state of New York. So if there were any sex trafficking or transportation of prostitutes for the purposes of sex charges to be given out to Diddy, it wasn't anything that involved him, because every time they met up, it was at a hotel in New York. So he never crossed state lines. Diddy never flew him into Miami. He said all that on the stand. And I'm going to play a clip or two from some other things that he said. Some of these things are like salacious and wild, but I just wanted to really drive home the point that, like, I don't think this was a good person to call him to the stand for the prosecution. This is Sheree Hayes, aka The Punisher, on an interview for Vlad TV.
A year. And I felt like I did that, right? So I told the truth. I'm sure the details are embarrassing, but at the same time, it's the truth. And walking out, I felt I was leaving the stand with my integrity and doing the right thing. So I wanted to acknowledge them. And I looked at them. Thank God there wasn't like a death stare, you know what I'm saying? Or anything like that. And I looked at him. We locked eyes. I kind of nodded. He nodded back. And I went out the courtroom. And then I'm hoping that results in no, from his part, no negative, and I have no idea, right? But you know, what I was compelled to do was something I didn't have control over. You know,
what he's saying there is, I went up and I testified because I was compelled to by the state. Like, they made me basically come up there and give my testimony, and I told the truth. And it might have embarrassed him, but I said during my time on the stand, I don't think that he did anything illegal. I never saw him put his hands on Cassie. And when I got off the stand, I made eye contact with him, and I hope that he knows that I don't have any ill will towards him, and I hope he doesn't have any ill will towards me. And that's like, that's not a good look to me. Like, for the prosecution to be like, this guy's like, listen, I'm a whore. Like, I don't know what to tell. Like, yes, I am a sex worker. Whatever the things you want to say to me, whatever jokes you want to make to me about my profession, that is what I do. And that is what I did with Cassie and Diddy. But outside of that, if you're saying that is the crime that he did, fine, I guess, then prosecute him. But I never saw him put his hands on her, and I didn't think that anybody was being coerced. He even said, I never even thought that they were on drugs. I never saw him give her any drugs to where she seemed like out of it or anything like that, because like he said, she was the one that finished the transactions. Like, she would pay him after they were done. She would call him before, like, she would call him to the hotel. She would pay him after they were done. So he's like, I never got the impression that she was high or out of her mind or anything like that. I just thought that she was doing something for her husband. And he also said, like, I didn't even know that this was Diddy at the time. This is Cameron, the rapper, interviewing the Punisher. Obviously, Cameron is a fool. He's stupid as hell, but he's a great interviewer. And I feel like people get comfortable around Cameron, and Cameron has this ability to ask questions that nobody else would ask because they're trying to be professional. And this guy, the Punisher, is also from Harlem. So there's this like defense that he let his guard down a bit instead of being a professional or whatever, like interview he's been doing Piers Morgan and all this stuff. He came to Cameron. I think the Punisher unloosened a couple of his buttons and, you know, felt more at ease to have like a discussion. Yeah. And so I felt some valuable in playing some of those clips. So this is from the You're Welcome Network, Cameron's YouTube channel. So shout out to Cameron.
Like, I really believe they were a married couple. Like, when I got there, I didn't recognize Cassie.
Right.
Like, I saw her face. She looked familiar. But honestly, when I saw her, I thought she was Megan Good.
Right.
Like, if I was going to pin her, I was like, yo, I think this is Megan Good. But then when I looked on the Google, Megan Good was much thicker. So I couldn't really figure it out. So, and then when she said her husband, when Puff walks out, to finally, you know, do his voyeur thing and see what's going on.
So hold on real quick. It didn't start with Puff. In the room?
Nah, never started with him in the room.
Okay.
It would only be me and her, and she said at some point her husband's going to walk in, and I'm not supposed to acknowledge him, look at him, act like he's not even in the room.
Right.
So we'll be like on a couch, let's say on one end of the room, and then like on the far end of the room, it'll be like a table with a chair. And eventually he'll come in the room and like sit in the area, of course, the room, like watching, and we're supposed to act like he's not there.
How often, pardon me, not how often, how long did it take until you realized that it was Diddy?
Bro, like, I want to say like over a year.
Get the fuck out of here. A whole year? Why? So let me, how long, okay, let's, I want to stick to that for a second, but how long did you know till it was Cassie?
So the minute I found out it was Diddy, that's when I knew it was Cassie.
So it took a year for you to find out for Cassie as well?
Yeah, yo, okay. I didn't recognize it. Like when I jumped out of it, I did try to do the Google searches. Like I wanted to try to figure out who it was, right. But I'm Googling a married couple.
He live under a rock?
Right.
So
I guess so. This was like 2011, I believe that they were saying. So,
and
well, also,
how do you mistake Megan Good for Cassie?
He must be out of the loop, like you said.
That's insane.
So every result I'm getting is not leading me to the right places because they're not married.
Got you.
You know, so then, and I never found out with a visual cue. It was a hotel, the ex's house, and I would get there, let's say 2 a.m, and sometimes nothing would pop off for hours. So
for people if you didn't really understand what he's saying, I don't know much about New York hotels, but he said that the hotel was called the ex's house, which is a crazy name for a hotel. And he's gonna explain how he found out that this was Diddy, and that matters for you to understand. He's at a hotel. He's not saying he was at his ex's house.
But is he like? I would assume, based off just a little bit of this interview, he's like around gorgeous women all the time. For him to be a Cassie and be like, "Oh, I have no idea who this woman is."
He does say in these interviews, like, I acknowledge that I thought she was absolutely gorgeous. But I think he was just like, but also you got to keep in mind, like, he's being called to like the Mondrian, the London, the penthouse suite. It's like, this is a guy, whoever her husband is like a super millionaire. This is probably just one of those gorgeous women that you just don't see all the time in his mind. When he did, but again, he's saying like, I knew she was somebody. I just didn't know who she was. She's too pretty to just be like a girl that works at the store. Like you definitely like, you must make money being this pretty. This must be a part of how you make a living, right? But who are you? Megan Good? I don't know.
He don't even know. He's like, I'm here to get freaky.
Yeah, I'm here to get 2 bands, and for doing this, that's why I'm like, I don't know. This is like, you know, he speaks to like, it was crazy. I didn't understand. Like, I thought it was weird. Like, you know, definitely thought there was some like kinky stuff, but I was in a place in my life where I was like, I could really use $2,000. And what better way to get $2,000 than like sleeping with a gorgeous woman in a beautiful hotel suite? Now this guy's walking around. That was weird, but I was able to like put that out of my mind to complete the mission and get this money. And it's like, I can respect that. I guess. I mean, I don't know. It's all messy and sick. It's all sick. This is all sick, man.
Yeah.
In like an extra room in the suite. Mm-hmm. And just to kill time, I happened to cut on the TV, but and the TV had a welcome message. So the TV said, yo, ex's house would like to welcome Mr. Sean Combs. And I'm like, yo, this is crazy. Like, I had no idea, man.
So that's how you found out that it was.
So when you got big money, apparently, because I done stayed in some decent hotels, I never cut the TV on and it's speaking directly to me. I know they have the hotel channel.
Yeah.
But apparently when you got money like that, the hotel channel is like, hey, man, specifically, hey, Fran, welcome to this hotel. And that's how he found out that this was Diddy. Once he goes, oh, this is Diddy? Yeah. So that's Cassie. And he said, this is a year into him, their arrangement.
A whole year is still crazy.
Yes.
Didn't come across her or nothing? You didn't see nothing.
I mean, like we've discussed in the first episode, he pretty much hijacked her career once he started dating her. She wasn't making music anymore.
Whole year, bro. Come on, there's pictures of her being a model, being catch off guard everywhere.
I can see how if you don't know who Cassie is in 2011, 2013, you aren't just like gonna stumble upon Cassie. She wasn't.
That's not no. He's having sexual intercourse with a woman for a year, and it's like I had no idea who she was for a whole year.
Yeah, you probably in 2011, if I'm being fair, you could
Really?
probably Google like, but I don't know if I would Google 100 most beautiful women in Hollywood. Like, you know what I mean? Like, because I don't know if I necessarily know it's a Hollywood, but I just know this is a gorgeous woman. I guess if he did any kind of Google of like beautiful, I don't even know. I don't know, bro. That's tough.
A year is a long time for you not to know who this person is.
A year's a long time. That's a fact. That's a fact. You just like, I would start to question like, is this the feds? Like, is this some kind of FBI? What is this? Is this a CIA psychological operation? So like this absolute gorgeous woman calls me up on a Friday, tells me to come to a beautiful hotel to have sex with her. Her husband's in the room. That part's weird. But then after we're done, she gives me $2,000 and I go about my business. What?
Yeah.
I don't understand. I would start it's 3 months in after the first time.
Thank you.
You walk out with $2,000, but you're like, what the fuck just happened? What?
Is this a joke? This can't be real. Yeah.
Cassie and Diddy by just coming on the TV and seeing the introduction on the television. Wow.
On the TV.
Wow. Puff would tell you to move the candles a certain way, or tell her to move the candles a certain way for lighting purposes for his visual. Could you explain that?
Yeah, so like when I first got in there, she made it clear that this was a scene we were setting up for her husband.
Okay.
So, you know, it was like couches, all the furniture in the suite was covered in sheets. Like everything was covered in sheets. So it was like a single chair across from like a big sofa. And we were supposed to sit on there and I'm supposed to put oil on myself. She's supposed to do the same. And then at some point we're rubbing on each other and we doing little like masturbating. I'm masturbating, she's masturbating, but you could tell it was an act.
Right.
Like we're like in character, like one of them corny Cinemax movies. You know what I'm saying? Like the sex scene in the little Cinemax movies. So we're trying to make it look like the part, you know, and then he would give subtle cues because he's across the room and the room's dark, everything's candle lit. And he'll say like, yo, move a little bit, yo, move the candle, I can't really see, or move the body. And he would never talk to me, not one word to me, only to her. And if it's instructions for me, it goes to her and she tells me. So it was like a real scripted kind of routine.
Again, man, respectfully, I just want to like, this is just a level of debauchery I just had never heard of in my life. And I'm not even saying this has necessarily like this is what money does or anything, but this is just a different echelon of freakiness. Like we all done little wax candles and things like that. You know, you spice shit up a little, whatever type of, take a little, you know, fuzzy hand, whatever. I don't know, whatever normal stuff, shit you can get from Spencer's. This acting out, like it's TV with your girl and a guy you. And I understand this is cuckolding and all. This is a thing. I get it. I'm trying my best to not be a kink shamer, but the image he's painting is like, and then to be like, oh, and they paid me $2,000. It's like, this is a whole world. I'm just like, I can't believe this world exists. Like that's fascinating to me that this is people's life. And that's a part that's like, I think that the prosecution maybe banked on is that people will be so offended at a lifestyle that they couldn't imagine that it would play more in their favor. But while I am like, this is a crazy lifestyle and I can't believe this shit is this is some people's real life, like acting out sex in front of people. This is not a crime so far as what they painted out to be. Absolutely wild. But I don't like.
It sounds like he had a kink for just like directing his own live sex.
Yeah, he's like a porn addict.
Film. Yeah.
And a cuckold.
Right. But so what's the bad thing in that? I mean, like, I don't see what that's what he likes to do.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know why they called him.
I feel like I sound weird just being like, what's wrong with that? But like,
what's wrong with that in terms of putting somebody in prison? That's what I like. Right. If you want to talk about morality or something, like your wife, you guys took, and also they weren't married. But like, let's say this was your wife, and you're like, we took vows and whatever. If that's your stance, like this is, I feel like this is morally wrong. That's a whole different conversation. Should people be being put in prison? that's where it's like, I don't know, man. But also it's like, okay, so you're saying it was coercion and sex trafficking and under duress and all that is, I understand how this is that, if that's what you prove. Bringing this guy up did the opposite of that.
Yeah. Now, if he went over there and put hot wax and shit, then it's like, okay, that's when it's kind of.
That's what I'm saying. Like, if he was like, yeah,
if he's in the corner, I mean, I don't.
If they said, if this guy went up on,
hold on, wait. Wait. I just want to get off at. I don't want to sound like some weird. I just want to be like, I don't see the harm in him sitting in the corner and kind of directing a sex film, his own sex films.
Well, let me help you, right? I don't see what's wrong with it from the perspective of the Punisher.
Sure.
Because
maybe that's the way I'm looking at it.
Cassie arranged it with him. She does all the talking. So, as far as he's concerned, it's like, this is my cuck husband. He likes to watch me have sex with other men. And it's like, hey, man, then I guess he's just over there innocently in an arrangement that they agreed with, and I'm here to have sex. Now, from the perspective that Cassie laid out, it's like, he beats me, and if I don't do the freak offs, then
I don't. But as far as the point, I don't know what's going on when they leave this room.
That's what I'm saying.
That's the part.
I
That's
agree
where
with
I'm
you
like,
in
outside of that, I'm like, I don't see anything wrong with this part.
Yeah. If I show up and y'all, this is what y'all want to do, that's between y'all. And I've never seen him hit you, and I've never seen y'all do drugs, as the Punisher saying this. So it's like, I don't know why they called him up to say this, because all he laid out was they have a freaky arrangement, but it's all business. And everybody was consenting as far as I was concerned. That's my testimony. And I hope Diddy's not mad at me he even threw that in there. Like, I hope you're not mad at me, man. Like, we had some good times, and you enjoyed me and the arrangement.
Because there's nothing crazy he can speak on other than what he was indulging, indulging with as far as the
freak
the nasty shit. But I mean, like,
so, but that's not illegal, right? So the jury's like, okay, yeah, this is wild, and the baby oil and all this stuff, but like, that is wild, but that's not against the law, what you're describing. So
he was basically orchestrating a sex scene without directly talking to you, but telling her certain things.
Exactly.
Wow. Crazy. I seen also in the transcript, or I actually heard you talk about this, that Puff will have the Muslim mask on and be naked from the neck down. What was that like? Pause.
Bro, that was like the weirdest shit ever. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's already weird knowing like a dude.
He would have on a like a burqa.
Hijab?
Yeah, or like a hijab. But it wasn't like a
hijab.
It wasn't a sanctioned hijab. He basically would have the sheets over him. But what he's saying is that's what it looked like to me. It looked like he had on a veil.
Gotcha. A veil, right.
Parents of twins, if you're familiar with far-off drop-offs...
Dad, stop, right here.
Or get DMs about what's for dinner, you may be experiencing tween milestones. For your son or daughter, these can start at age 9. HPV vaccination, a type of cancer prevention against certain HPV-related cancers, can start then too.
For most, HPV clears on its own. But for those who don't clear the virus, it can cause certain cancers later in life.
Embrace this phase. Help protect them in the next.
Ask their doctor today about HPV vaccination. Brought to you by Merck.
Coming in the room, you know, but, you know, I'm messing with the chick, and mind you, I'm seeing all this peripheral.
Right.
So it's extra crazy because it's not straight on. So it's at the corner of my eye. I'm like, yo, this dude got on like a veil, and he's half the time he's beating off and he's walking side to side. So it was definitely a difficult space to try to be in. But I ain't no front, bro. At the time, I'm greedy. I want this bread. You know what I'm saying? I'm looking at the scenario, and I'm trying to make it work. But it was tough, man. It was tough.
It was just a veil. Somebody told me he had a Yankee fitted over the veil. Everything. So everything was just covering the face. Super duper pause and naked from the neck down every single time.
Every single time, man. So that's a little construed, right? It was a veil, just period. Like the ones the Muslim women wear, so you don't see anything but the eyes. But I think at some point after like the year and change, and it was a while, he wore the veil for a minute.
Right.
I think they might have figured out. I saw the TV, and at some point he just changed to a Yankee fitted. So at some point he dropped the veil, and I guess he knew. Maybe he saw the TV on. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like I probably left it, and I guess he figured out. All right, homie figured it out. So he stopped wearing a veil, and he was just like rocker fitted.
Right.
Man. Okay. So yeah. So I just wanted to play that because in the first part of us discussing the Diddy trial, we did discuss the veil and the hiding in the shadows type of situation. This is a person who experienced that version of a freak off, and is also saying like at some point he figured out. At some point, I think he figured out that I figured out who they are, so he stopped wearing the veil because I guess it was probably pretty like once you know that they know who you are, you probably feel stupid. Where it's like. I'm wearing this for hiding my identity.
Yeah.
Now, if I think you know who I am, I don't got to be wearing this damn veil. So that was testimony from the Punisher, also known as Sheree Hayes. That's his government name. And this is, I think that this was not helpful. And this is only 2 weeks into the trial. You're like, this is not. I don't think this did what you wanted it to do. I think that this kind of made it seem like. Yes, he pays male sex workers to sleep with Cassie, but as far as the sex workers are concerned, that is all that it is. And this specific sex worker, the Punisher, is saying, and I didn't leave the state. So I don't even help you with the charges, the lesser charges. It's not like you're saying he transported me to Fiji to have sex with Cassie. That's not what happened. So you're just bringing me up here to say, isn't this guy a disgusting freak? And it's like, if that was the point of the trial, then 2 weeks in, they're doing a great job of being like, how disgusting is this guy, huh?
Yeah.
That was one thing they succeeded at that every week. Another testimony that happened in week 2 was Gerard Gannon, who was an agent with Homeland Security who testified about the 2024 raid on Diddy's luxury estate. This is kind of what broke open all of this. Like when we found out about the baby oil and the guns and the flying jets, and they stopped him at the airport and didn't let him fly to go on a vacation. And this was like the big raid that happened at Diddy's house. And then his son came out.
This was kind of the beginning of like the takedown.
Yes.
The Diddy.
This is when his son came out and was like, y'all raided the wrong house, which was like, why would you say that?
Why would you say that? Jeez. Flexing. Trying to flex. Bro, what are you
That's not even where we do all the freaky shit. That's the wrong house. You're like, wow.
That's the wrong house.
Thank you, son, I guess.
The tapes are at the other house. What?
So at his estate, the agents found dismantled AR-15 style weapons. Again, now I think that a lot of the guns that they found, or if not all of them, were legal, but like guns charges. You know, if we're saying things that we are going to charge you with that will stick. At his house, they found cocaine and ketamine, drug charges.
Okay.
But it's possession, but drug charges. They found lingerie.
It's not being like he's not being charged with like distributing it. I mean, like it's just at his house, right? So,
yes,
like, you can still get charged.
You can still get charged with possession. You can't have cocaine. So just in summation, like week 2 was really spent attempting to break the spell of the Diddy that we've all seen dancing on our TVs for years. Like the first 2 weeks were really like, whatever you think of Diddy, throw it out the window. This is a monster. Now, did they start to lay the groundwork for any sex trafficking or RICO charges? No, but they did a great job in being like, public sentiment around Diddy was like, this guy is garbage. Yeah. That was successfully done in the first 2 weeks of this trial.
Yeah.
And also that he was a tyrant of a boss. But again, at this point, the Punisher of it all, the abuse, all of those things, they're shocking, they're salacious, they drive clicks, 100%. But I just wasn't seeing like how we were going to get to a RICO charge.
Yeah, and you kind of said that from the beginning, where it was like, I just don't see how to get him on a RICO charge.
I just wasn't seeing it. Now, week 3, things did get interesting. I did think I was like, I'm seeing the groundwork, but keep in mind, at week 3, we're halfway through this thing. So for me to be watching or absorbing what I'm seeing, the court transcripts, 3 weeks into the trial, and I'm just now being like, oh, okay, I see what they're trying to do. On week 3, you're kind of behind the 8 ball, in my opinion. But during week 3 is when they called up Capricorn Clark, who was a former employee of Mr. Combs, who she rose from being a personal assistant to a brand director. So she went through the ladder with him.
Yeah.
And you see a lot of shit on that kind of ascension. You go through all the ups and downs, and you done seen his temper flare up.
Keeping your mouth quiet too.
Say it again.
Keeping your mouth quiet too.
That
You
part,
get that high level.
that part right there, right? So like, when did this become like I have to come out and speak about this? Is that's what the defense is gonna counter with, even after all the stuff she lays out, which is very interesting. So she testified that she was kidnapped by P. Diddy when he came to her apartment with a gun one morning in December of 2011 after he learned that Cassie was dating Kid Cudi. And he told Capricorn, "Get dressed. We're going to kill Kid Cudi." Later that day, she said she watched Mr. Combs beat Cassie. So, and so Capricorn Clark was one of the employees who comes in and lays out the RICO as far as like violence, guns, planned assassinations is what they're framing that statement as. And some other things like where like practices like Capricorn Clark kind of laid out, like I was the one arranging for the hotels. I was calling around, getting baby oil. Like they put a face to what we thought was happening when we talked about it the first time. Like whoever these employees are, they're probably doing this and getting the baby oil. They're probably booking the shows and booking the hotels. Capricorn Clark put a face to that, but also sprinkle some violence into it and some accusations of her own. Now, on cross-examination, Mr. Combs' lawyer questioned whether this event could even be considered a kidnapping. Because he didn't say, "Come on, I'm going to shoot you." It's like, she said he was like, "Come on, man, we're going to go kill Kid Cudi," with a gun in his hand. Now, that's crazy. My boss, I would never want my boss to talk to me that way. But to frame it as a kidnapping, I think the defense questioning that is like, oh, yeah, well, I mean, did he say you have no choice, or like, did he tie you up? Like, what about it was kidnapping?
But that's kind of similar to the Kid Cudi explosion, where it's like they said that he blew up his car. That didn't really happen. She's saying that he kidnapped. Okay, well, did he really kidnap you? He was just like,
"Come on,
we got to go do something, whatever," and then you kind of went.
Yeah, and then nothing
and
happened.
I was like, all right, then it's not really it doesn't sound as bad as a kidnapping. Like he put a bag over your face and dragged you out of the house. Yeah,
it sounds more salacious on the headlines than what actually happened. You got to keep in mind, she worked her way up the ranks, like we said. Yeah. If over the last 2.5 weeks, which is at this point in the trial, this is the Diddy that everybody knows behind the scenes, she knows this Diddy too. Like 100%. She's aware of this behavior and all of these kind of things, the manic, the drugs, the violence, all these things, and you continue to work for him. So in that case, if I'm a defense attorney, I'm starting to try to paint the picture of like, so either he kidnapped you and you still came back and worked for him, which is a whole nother discussion. But again, like we said, it's about sowing a seed of doubt. It's not about think pieces on TikTok. It's not about having a long form 20 minutes to talk about Stockholm syndrome or being brainwashed or feeling like you are being manipulated and not being able to leave. All the defense has to say is like, so he kidnapped you and you came back to work for him, or Diddy was just being Diddy. He was being the Diddy that you saw last week, the Diddy that he comes in, breaks shit and violent and yelling. Maybe he hit Cassie and you saw all that too, and you continued to work your way up the ranks, and you somehow were able to compartmentalize that and continue to do your job. That is the job of the defense, and that is also the job of the jury to be able to be like, okay, so I don't have a therapist here to tell me how being around a violent person could make you like attached to them and be afraid to tell them no and be afraid to leave. All I'm hearing is you're accusing him of kidnapping you, but then you kept working for him. I'm a juror. I'm just a regular everyday person. I don't have the capacity to like for nuance.
Yeah. Yeah, because also you also gotta think about where it's like, for you to work for him, you know him at this point because you don't worked up the ranks, like you said. There's a level of trust that he has with you that you guys have together where he can be himself, that as we know him now, and kind of do what he do, and you be like, that's just him. You know, we kind of go on by our daily plans and work schedule and shit like that. So it's like that plays a huge part because like you somehow he kidnapped you. It's like, okay. And that's good for the defense to be like, did he really kidnap you or not? Because you know who he is at this point. You can't come up here and be like, oh, I didn't know anything about this Diddy. Like,
so you started off as an intern basically and worked your way up as to like a real title, right? So it's like, you don't think, like you just said, that's a great point you brought up, where it's like, you don't think Diddy knows how to be phony? That's who we saw on TV all these years. Diddy absolutely knows how to be phony. If he felt like he couldn't be himself around you, he wouldn't be himself around you. If he felt like you
wouldn't have made it,
you wouldn't have made it this far. If he felt like you were going to go tell the tabloids or quit or whatever, he wouldn't come to you with a gun to tell you to let's go kill somebody. That part. Also, sidebar, for anybody who hasn't seen the movie Don't Blink, I think this is a great example. So Channing Tatum's character in this movie is a billionaire, and he has an assistant. For people who haven't seen the movie, I don't want to do any spoilers, but he has an assistant, and it turns out that Channing Tatum's doing all these horrible things with his money and sex trafficking and all these crazy things, right? And he has this assistant throughout the whole movie that's like, oh, she makes sure that he has his drinks and he has his vape where he wants it and all these things. And it's like, she's been here for years. She's his confidant. When he calls, she picks up. You think she didn't know about this side that we're finding out as we're watching the movie? Like, oh, shit, he does this type of shit too? This is the assistant. The closest assistant. So when it's like, yeah, man, this girl fell asleep. She passed out. I gave her too much drugs. He calls her to say, get the purse and all this type of stuff.
Blink twice? Is that what you meant?
Yeah, blink twice. I said don't blink.
Okay.
Yeah, blink twice. Sorry, blink twice. Okay. But I'm not saying that. I'm not saying Capricorn Clark is the woman in that movie.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, like, she knows who this person is really. Yeah. And she continued to work for him. And so if this was a RICO charge, where are the other charges? You know, that part too. Because it seems like you just sent out a subpoena and people had to show up. There's nobody trying to like not get time. There's nothing like that happening with like we usually see in RICOs, because it's like the other people involved are also criminals. These are all people that were just around a very toxic and dangerous person, but nobody else, it seems like, can be brought up on criminal charges as far as the RICO is concerned. So it's like, is this a RICO if you can't even, where are the co-conspirators?
Yeah.
If everybody's just like, yeah, I had to come up because they subpoenaed me. Like they not under the threat of like giving me 20 years for my part in this, just because if I don't show up, then I'm like I'm defying a subpoena. Like they can give me some kind of charge for that, but I'm not here because I'm being charged with anything. So it's already like, so I don't really even know how this is a RICO. Hey guys, this is gonna be a two-parter. You know, I gotta tell you, like, we started to scratch the surface and we have not gotten deep enough. So I'm gonna read this last little bit and then we're gonna have to finish diving into this in part 2 next week. So I will finish with saying one more testimony from week 3 was from Deontay Nash. Deontay Nash worked as a stylist for both Sean Combs and Cassie. He revealed and testified to multiple instances of violence that were inflicted on Cassie by Diddy. So again, we're still in the painting him out to be a monster phase in week 3. They're kind of jumping back and forth. It's like, this is, to me, week 3 should have been all about what are the tangible things that we're saying happen. It's like, I'm not saying that Cassie's story shouldn't be told, but she went up there and she told her story with her own words and it was very effective. Now we're in week 3 and we're still bringing people up to be like, and you know he hit her and you know he's controlling and manipulative and all. It's like, no, we know that. But like,
I think Cassie's testimony is pretty much all we needed to paint him as a bad person.
That's how I feel.
Everything else after that should have been trying to get him on the RICO charges and shit like that. Where it's like, we still bringing up, it's like, it's not hurting. It's not hurting him, but it's like, it's not making it any better. It's like, okay, we know he's a bad person.
Yeah.
I mean, what else do we need to?
It's not helping him, but it's also not like, we can't feel any
it's not
more
hurting,
like he's a piece of shit than we already do. We got to get to the tangible facts. We got to get to the
We
charges.
know he's a piece of shit already.
Yeah.
Right. I think they try to double down on him being a piece of shit. Was like, no, this is going to work.
I really think the prosecution thought if we paint him out to be a big enough piece of shit, they'll convict him on something. And technically that is what happened.
Yeah.
But they were really shooting for the fence with RICO charges, and they failed at that. And that's why, again, I made a joke on TikTok or something like that, where I was like, the Hotep, the conspiracy YouTube guys are very much like, no, man, this was a humiliation ritual. This wasn't even a trial. They only wanted to ruin Diddy's reputation. They wasn't trying to find justice. They just wanted to ruin his reputation because he was about to buy BET or whatever type of the thing is that they're going to say. But I'll continue. So, like I said, Deontay Nash, he was a stylist for both Diddy and Cassie, and he kind of corroborated a lot of the abuse situations that he witnessed with his own eyes. He also told a story that involved a woman who's known as MIA, which we will get to in episode 2, or in part 2 of this, or part 3. Damn. So in part 3 of this, we will get to MIA. So keep that in mind. Not MIA, not the paper and high like planes. She was trying to stay anonymous in the trial, so she went by MIA. So Deontay Nash tells a story that involves another woman who goes on to testify. We'll talk about her in the next part. Yeah, so there was a story that he told about violence that Diddy inflicted on Cassie, including one where MIA, this person that comes in to testify, was also there. So I don't know if there was a threesome happening or...
So we don't know if this is a male or female.
It is a female. It is a woman.
It's
MIA
a
is a
woman.
woman. But yeah, he was telling stories about violence that he inflicted on that Diddy inflicted on Cassie, and in one of the stories, MIA was in the room, as well as him. So I guess it might have just been like a business, the stylist is there, and this is there, and the assistant, and Cassie, one of those type of situations. So Deontay also said that Miss Ventura had confided in him about the freak-offs and said that Mr. Combs threatened to release sex tapes. So this is where Deontay Nash's participation is understood to me, because you got Capricorn Clark talking about gun violence and threatening to kill somebody. And now you got Deontay Nash saying Cassie was not only being beaten, but she confided in me that he would make her do freak-offs under the threat of releasing these sex tapes to the public and ruining her public image. That's where the coercion comes in. Now, we're in week 3, so for me to be like, oh, I see where they're trying to get to now, it is very late in the game. Deontay went on a detail of time when at a hotel, he told Cassie that Diddy was looking for her, and she said, oh no, and headed to the balcony. And that's when she said that she was going to climb over the balcony. Now, this is Deontay Nash's interpretation of the situation. We weren't there and everything like that, but I have to assume that he's telling the story because it was very dramatic. And basically he's alluding to her saying she was gonna jump off the building, which is very dramatic, very serious. But again, it's hearsay, right? I mean, I know he's saying it, but like, we don't know. You're saying Cassie said something. So for a jury, it's like a defense is like, yeah, it's hearsay. Like, we don't know. She didn't jump off the building. So like, we don't know if she said she was going to jump off the building or anything like that. And they went and got dinner that night. Like, it all is like, again, the first 2 weeks, I understood it. We're destroying his reputation. But now we're talking about she was going to jump off the building and stuff. It's like, what is this adding? Now, I understood the part about the blackmail. Got it. I understand his value as a witness, right? But again, we're still going into like, he's a monster stuff, and that I'm not seeing what that's adding at this point in the trial.
Yeah.
But under cross-examination from the defense, he was asked that why, if he was so worried about Cassie Ventura, did he not do more to intervene? Now, that's a very like gross question, but that's why defense attorneys get paid the money that they get paid. They're there to scrutinize. They're there to try to break up testimony and all these things. And again, they're basically, this is their tactic and their strategy for this whole thing, which is to just sow the seeds of doubt. Like, Deontay Nash, she told you all these things. She confided in you. Did you never style Diddy again after that night? It's like, well, I did style him again, but I only styled him because, and it's like, no, we don't need to know why, because I rest my case. You know what I mean? Like, if as a defense attorney, you're like, so you thought a woman was going to leap to her death and all these things, and did you call the police? Did you hit Diddy? Did you jump in the middle or anything? It's like, well, I didn't do any of those things. Okay, well then I rest my case. That was their strategy for this entire trial. Let the prosecution lay out their thing, and it's like, okay, well, if he was so bad, did you call the police? No further questions, And with that was part 3 of the Diddy discovery. The Diddy, Diddy or Diddy, whatever you want to call it. I don't know. I don't have a proper name for it. Like I said, I come up with the titles in my head just mere minutes before uploading. But one thing I want to make clear before we take a break, trigger warning for the next episode and trigger warning for this. I'm sorry if anybody felt that that, you know, they've been in a domestic violence situation or any kind of abusive relationship and they felt things from hearing these things laid out. I apologize for that. Also, I just also want to make clear one more time, we do not want to come across like we are rooting for or happy or anything of the sort for the situation that Diddy finds himself in as far as not being convicted on the big charges. We are just looking at this with hindsight. So I feel like it is important to try to understand how we got here, and that involves having to be blunt and honest about the strategy of the prosecution. That is not to say that we cast doubt on anything that we heard. I believe everything that Cassie said. I believe everything that Cassie said. The problem is, for me, is that they didn't tie those things that she said, or anybody else really, into the charges, not the major charges anyway. So there's more to come in part 3. Hey, listen, I've been Alvin Williams, joined as always by my partner in true crime, Francel Evans, and we'll see you guys next week.
Deuces.